Well, he used to fight like this. Tongue used to be stuck out, and he used to come in windmill, fist and feet, windmilling. And that's how he's always been. He used to swing into you. You didn't know whether a foot or a fist were going to hit you. He used to come swinging in like a windmill. But he used to destroy every fucker. He's walking around massive, he was. And he was one of the doormen that jumped our coal. So one of my black mates with me says to me, "There's that Dave who jumped your coal." I said, "Which one?" He said, "The one with a grey t-shirt on with a red star on." I said, "Yeah, watch this then." So I'm walking up, he lifted his head up and looked at me. I whacked him straight under the chin and took him out of his trainers. He's left his shoes and gone about 3 foot back and fast asleep. So I've woke him up, gave him a few slaps around the face. He said, "What's going off? Who's done that? Who's done that?" And I says to him, "Listen here, you I've just done it." I said, "What are you going to do about that? You jumped my brother with all your... I'm going to get every one of you." He said, "No, don't know bother, I don't know what bother." He was in with all his doorman mates and everything, but I was with about 50 of the lads. So and all got them and everything. So then obviously they couldn't do it, but I just took him straight out of his shoes. And then in 98, I got 4 year, 9 months, and I've gone to Stockton, and he's there waltzing round, right unit. So he's seen me come walking over. He says, "Hi Dave, you all right?" I said, "Yeah, I'm all right, kid, are you?" He said, yeah, fine." He said, "Can I shake your hand, mate? That's the best punch I've ever took in my life." I says, "But you didn't take it, mate. You went straight to Kip." I said, "She was fast on, mate." He said, "No, that's the best punch I've ever had in my life. You took me out with trainers." I said, "Thanks." I said, "No, thanks, mate." I said, "Do you want some beef over it?" He says, No. Can we leave it at that and just shake hands?" I said, "Yeah, fine, mate." He says, "Because I deserve that." I said, "Well done, mate. You've manned up. Good lad." It was a bully picking on young kids. I was a young 19-year-old. He'd have been in his 20s, proper prisoner. And I was a YP, young prisoner. I shouldn't have even been there. But unless it was for my charge, I wouldn't have been there. I'd have been in Glenparva. Right. So it'd been going on for 4 or 5 months. Every day he was on me. Every day, old blood clot, white, and pushing me. And I used to say to Shore, "I'm going to knife that." No, Dave, no, Dave. But because I was on that murder trial, I didn't want another one while I'm on it, because they would have f***ed me up. Right, and I didn't want no more Section 18s or anything. So I just watched it. I said, as soon as this is done, mate, if I bust this case and get the manslaughter, what my legal team are after, I'm going to serve this up. And George said, "Oh, go on then." Well, anyway, the day after, I've gone to work. I've got the 3.5 year. I've sat there, snipping the shirts, come over, slap me around the head. I said, "Look, mate, f*** off." And I've got my scissors in my hand. I know I was going to strike. Right, as he swung another slap at me, I've just jumped up, stabbed him under the chin, in the neck a few times. Then I just went mad, jumped on him, stabbed all his face, his shoulders, neck, head.
Huge thank you to you, the viewers, for helping us get to over 1 million subscribers. If you've not subscribed yet, please hit the subscribe button. Helps us get great guests and keep doing this hard-hitting content. Before the podcast, there's a little Attwood family video showing the beautiful shutters we got from Shutters Factory, featuring baby Ziggy and Jen. So on our channel, we talk about predators, stalkers, and we've moved away from the city to the countryside to get away from them, but it seems they follow us everywhere.
Oh no, not him again. Oh. Goodbye.
You can get a 10% discount on your order with Shutters Factory using promo code Shaun, SHAUN. Link is in the description box on YouTube. Thank you for supporting our sponsor.
We came to Bestwood. We lived in a place called Cotmanay. It was a farm, Cotmanay Farm in Ilkeston. Just a white area. There's no coloured people or nothing, no blacks, nothing. Right. So my mum, after all the aggro with my dad and that, she ended up shipping off. And then she fetched us when I think was about 8. She come and fetched us after she got settled. But she settled in St Anne's in Nottingham, which is predominantly black area and Pakistani area. But then after about a year in St Anne's, we moved to Bestwood Flats, and then was there about 9 months. And she got an house in Bestwood, so we came up here at 9 years old. Then we went to school, and this is where I met Sandy in the first day. We're only kids, but she thought she was the baddest in the class, and I've always considered myself the baddest at 9. But I've been together since then.
What did you notice about her that made you think she was the baddest in the class?
Just her attitude and very leery, and just a leery girl, very leery, bright ginger hair, very leery.
All right, so you guys met at age 9, age 14, you're getting romantically involved.
Yeah.
Now, we've jumped ahead to you being in the young offenders. What was your very first ever trouble with the police?
With the police, I think I shot a Polish kid in the eye. I made him line some cans up, and I
Yeah.
shot him in the eye with a pellet rifle. I got a ball stool for it.
How did you get the rifle?
It was just a pellet rifle. We all had them. We all had motorbikes and two rifles. We all had them on the estate. We used to go shooting everything, pigeons, everything. Before we're Jesse James, it was at that age, Sean, we're bastards we was. We used to ride around on a motorbike with a rifle on his back. No helmets or nothing.
How did you raise the money though to get them?
Thieving, Sean. I've always had to go thieving to feed my family.
All right. So what was your early thefts?
Early thefts. Well, what they used to do, they used to have people used to have meters, gas and electric meters, put 50 pences in them outside on the back gardens and in sheds, adjoining to the house. Like in a shed with a door on, a brick shed with a door on at the side of the house. Just used to bust the locks and rob the meters and get all the money. We used to go to different areas. We used to make about, you thought you were millionaires, but you had about 40 quid each. But you thought you were loaded.
So that was all 50p's?
All 10 bobs, yeah, 50 pence pieces at young age. But I've got nicked a few times for it. But, in them days, Sean, when your mum's got no money and she works every hour God send and she's got 4 kids and that, and I was the oldest, I had to feed them. I had to go out and earn a few quid. And rather than burgle houses, I just burgled the shed, the lean-tos and took the money out of the meters.
So are you the oldest, Dave?
Yeah, I'm the oldest, mate, yeah.
All right, so as the oldest then, when these other kids come along, how did it make you feel?
What other kids, Sean? What other people from other areas?
No, your siblings.
Oh yeah, that was great because there's 15 months between me and Colin. I think 2.5 years with me and Julie, and 5 years with me and Andrew. So it's great because it's family's family, isn't it?
Was there any sibling rivalry?
No, just me and Colin. We never really seen eye to eye. He wanted to be the boss. I wanted to be the boss. Was always fighting. My mum would give us both a clip, send us upstairs. And in them days, Sean, as children, I was a mad Derby County fan because I was obviously born in Ilkeston, it's Derbyshire. So I was a mad Derby County fan, and Colin was always a Liverpool fan. So when we fell out, we had posters on his bedroom walls of Derby and Liverpool on each side. So we used to run upstairs and rip each other's posters down and then start fighting in the bedroom. Mad it was. That's what we used to do. And then my mum would come up and hit us with a slipper and tell us to pack it in and all that. And you make out you were crying, so she'd stop and then laugh your head off when she went. And
did your mum ground you?
No, there's no grounding in them days. Couldn't ground us. We'd climb out the window and fuck off. No grounding in them days, Sean.
What about?
But was respectful to me, mum.
What about hobbies as a kid?
Football. Football all the time. Yeah. Me and Colin, football. Did
you sit in the house and watch the matches?
Always watch the matches. We used to go to my dad, because my mum and dad were divorced when I was about 7 or 8, and he used to come and fetch us and take us to the baseball ground. He used to take me and Colin. We used to go to the baseball ground, and then at I think around 10 years old, I'd been thieving and I got enough money for a Forest season ticket. So I got me and Sandy one. Me and Sandy got season tickets. And at that stage, Sandy's brother was my good friend as well. So me, him and Sandy used to go to all the home games. And then every other Saturday, we used to go and watch the reserves. So it was just mad for football.
What years was that, roughly?
That would have been about 1975. 75, 76, as Forest was ready for Europe.
What about the hooliganism back then?
The hooliganism were great, wasn't it? But, I never got involved in that till later years, about 17, 18 and that. And then in my early 20s, I was at Hillsborough. Went to Hillsborough when that went off. I'm actually on television there. I've seen myself on TV carrying the Scousers out on the boards, getting them over the fence and carrying them to the halfway line.
Holy, what did that feel like?
Oh, it was horrible, mate. It was horrible. Puts everything into perspective. Absolute terrible.
All right, this is a really important story, Dave, because you've got a lot of violent stories, but this shows your humanity. So let's let's slow down on this one then. So when did you first make your plans to go to Hillsborough?
Hillsborough. Well, we used to go to every game. We used to go home and away, me and the lads. We used to have a minibus, right? Colin worked for a company called Ericsson at the time, and Colin was in charge of the Nottingham side of it, right? So, and there was cable pulling and all that, right? So he used to have a brand new minibus, and we used to say to him, right, gives that for the away games, Cole. And one of the lads who worked for him, called Paul Hudson, he used to drive us, and we used to, because he was an ugly, and we used to call him the ugliest man in the world. But we used to think treat him. Everyone chucked the diesel in and that, and we used to go to all the away games, went everywhere, all over the country.
So how many of you were there?
Once Hillsborough come, once Hillsborough come, because it was the FA Cup, we went to all the FA Cup games, and once it was Liverpool, obviously we're going to go to the semi-finals anyway, right? So we all got tickets for that, and we was in the Cop end, and they was in that Leppings Lane end, and you could see it happening. I'm sure it was Peter Beardsley took a corner, and as it hit the bar, they all ran forward thinking they'd scored. And I mean, I didn't know this at the time, but after, when you read about it and everything, what he must have done is they ran forward, because it was all standing then. The gates had come open because they've heard the cheer, and all the Liverpool fans have ran in. So them who's ran forward can't get back now, because where they've ran forward and left a space behind them, it's got filled up. And this is why the squash was on. This is the way I seen it. You know, it was absolute terrible. So anyway, they all, after a while, they all left the pitch. Kenny Dalglish come on the mic, telling everyone to back off and all that. And, you know, there's some serious incidents happening. So we all climbed over. There's about 400 knots lads climbed over. We ran on, we ripped the boards up and started climbing up the fence, pulling them out. There was loads of people doing it. All our lot were doing it, even though, you know, you was into the violence, but you don't want people to die. So we was helping them and pulling them out, and then was carrying them to the halfway line. But you could see a lot of them were dead. It was like people were stretching, Sean. It was horrible with the pressure of pulling them. That, you know, it looked like they were stretching. They weren't, but that's how it felt.
Holy man! So
yeah, it was horrible.
Something that intense, then, to, you know, at a young age to be.
But bearing in mind, Sean, in those days, there's hardly any mobile phones. We used to have those big Motorola's and massive things with the aerials on the top. But when you go into the games, you can't take them in because they're considered weapons. So we used to leave them in the van, right? But you know, obviously your wife and that at home, they've seen it all on the news and thinks it's us. Do you know what I mean? Think it's Forest fans because it's red and white, and they're all panicking and everything. And it weren't until we got home. Obviously, you get home and you go straight to the pub because you want a pint, you know, and everyone's there thinking, what the f happened here? So you're explaining what you've seen, and we've all got different versions. But this is how I've seen it, you see. But you know, there used to be about 16 of us go to every game, sometimes 2 van loads. So what we ended up doing, me and this lad called Paul Lowe, he was a regular at the pub where I drank. There's a pub called the Deerstalker on Bestwood. It was quite renowned for its violence and everything there. But that was now my local as a young 19-year-old and that. Right, so he said, I'm going to walk to Liverpool, Dave, and raise some money for the Hillsborough disaster, because he was with us. So I said, well, I'll walk with you, mate. Anyway, so we walked to Liverpool. It took us 3 days and nights. And then when we got to Liverpool, we raised about £7,500 in them days. It was a lot of money. Big sweet jars we had full of 10s, 20s, everything. Right, so we walked to Liverpool and we got met by, let me get my bearings right, Terry McDermott and Steve Highway. They met us at Liverpool. It was a tour of Anfield. Then we went to the pub across the road. There was a load of Scarce people in there, obviously Liverpool fans, knew what we'd have been doing and that. So we had a session with them and we stayed at one of their houses. You know, no drugs involved in them days, but just had a good drink with them. They gave us tea, they fed us. They're really proud of what we'd done, you know, to help the Liverpool lot out. And we stayed there for the night. And in the morning, because we were meant to be getting a train home that night as we got there, but we just went on the lash, me and him did. It was great. And they really made us feel welcome. What a lovely community there was. So we stayed at the house and everything. They fed us, they gave us breakfast, took us to the train station. We got the train home and that was it. No, it was absolute fantastic to do. It was knackered because it was a long walk, you know, through Sheffield, through Snake Pass, all that way. Went on a right mad way. And I didn't know where the I was going. It's Paul Lowe. I just followed him, you know, because I was only a young lad, weren't driving or nothing. Just followed him and we walked there. It took us 3 solid days.
So I know you were a tough teenager, but seeing dead people stretching, what did it give you, like, any nightmares or any afterthoughts or anything?
Yeah, it affected me mentally. Proper affected me mentally because, you know, you wake up in the night and all you can see is people you've carried and you know they've gone, Sean. Yeah, a lot of them were gone who we carried, and you can see the colour of them gone, and the faces blue and all that. It was absolute horrendous. And you know, you do get PTSD after it all. You just sing it, don't you?
How long did the like nightmares and thoughts like that last?
I still get them now, Sean.
From Hillsborough?
Yeah, I still get them.
Oh
Still get
wow.
them. I've had to hit the medication for it all, not just for them, for everything. You know, I'm on a bit of medication now for him to calm me down because I'm always fired up, ready, and that because they just get me really thinking serious things and that. You know, you get flashbacks of it all, mate, and you know, you sit there one day, you think it, and you think, Jesus Christ, what's going off? Get out of my head, you know, and really, you know, to try and make myself feel better after what I'd seen. This is why I did the walk, like I'm doing something for those who died. You know, although we didn't kill, I never killed them or nothing, but I felt a bit of compassion for it, and I still feel strongly now. And when I watch those programs on Hillsborough and everything, because I have a different version to them because of what I've seen with Beardsley hitting the bar, and because I watch, you know me, I'm very observant, Sean. I like to see things and read situations and that. And this is how I read it. Some people pissed up, they read it different, but this is how I read it. You know, so. And I still get them now, mate. Still have flashbacks to it now, to this day.
I imagine back then there was no counselling or anything like that.
No, nothing. I didn't even go doctors. I've just wore it. This is why I think this is why I'm so volatile and a bit ravaged in the head because of it all.
So when you hear the news report on Hillsborough, the official version of events, how
Yeah.
does that sit with you?
Well, you know, especially where the coppers were lying and everything, blaming the Liverpool fans and that, you can't actually blame them. You know, it's the police's fault because they shouldn't have let them come in. But the way I seen it, Sean, because you've seen them all cheer and run forward, and then you've seen it all get filled. I seen it with my own eyes. It got filled. That Leppings Lane ended, and those forward then couldn't go back. You know, I mean, it is the Liverpool lads as well who've done it, but they're not to know they've done it. They've just seen spaces and gone running in. You know, and then obviously you're at the back and there's 10,000 people in the front of you. You're not going to hear no one screaming at the front when you're 60 meters back. You know, but it's the police's fault. I know it's the police's fault.
And what was the reason they let them in? So many in?
No, because there was all outside fighting and everything. This is what I've learned afterwards. And they said they pushed the gates open and ran in because they heard that cheer and they thought it was a goal. So they've gone, way, and all gone running in. And the gates have come open. They've gone running in, seen the empty stands at the back and hit it. Then those at the front who are surged forward can't get back now. So they're getting trapped to death, choking, chest compressions and that. Horrible.
Holy shit.
See it from, I mean, you couldn't see them getting squashed, but you could read what was happening. So we all jumped over. Once they come off the pitch, we jumped over and ran over. And I climbed up the fence. Hard to do, but climbed up, trying to pull people out. There's people going up the back of the stadium, trying to get up to the top stand. It was horrendous, mate. Horrendous.
So I know you've been through a lot of things in your life. In terms of like intensity, is this at the top? Is it the top one?
Yeah,
or...
it's at the top. It's at the top, mate. It's at the top. That is the Hillsborough disaster. Absolute terrible. I still think about it weekly now. You know, 2 or 3 times a week, I'll have flashbacks to it.
Hell.
Yeah, horrible.
Holy. So during those teen years, then, was there anything? What was the next? If you're talking in terms of intensity in your teen years, what was the next most intense below the Hillsborough?
That's when one punch killed Sean. You know, I didn't want nobody to die. I just hit him, didn't I? And you know, that was horrible as well. Me and her just got married, and we're in town having a few pints. I was wanted anyway. I think I was wanted for them meter things. It was something daft, some burglary or something, right? But I was wanted, and we've gone in town, had a few drinks and whatever, and then I said, let's go and get a Kentucky, and then we'll get the bus home. You know, no money for taxis are out in them days. We never had nothing. So we've gone to the Kentucky at the side of Boots. It's no longer there now. It's a shop now. So we've gone in there. Nottingham's always been predominant for stag nights and end nights and that. So as we've gone in there, there's about 20, 30 kids all on a stag night, all in daft clothing and that. So they've all started having a feel of Sunday. So I said, what are you doing? Obviously, I'm on my own. So I said, outside, free outside, because I fancied myself as hard as fucking them days. So we've gone outside, and I've just wham wham and smacked a couple of them. Then I've whacked this other one without being hit myself, and he's fell over and hit his head on the curb. I thought, oh God, you could hear the crack. I thought, God. So they've all started screaming, and they've all come running out. I says to her, let's go. We've got to go. I said, I think he's gone. And I myself. And then about a day and a half later, I was nicked, and you know, they had me.
If you're enjoying the podcast, please support our sponsor, NordVPN. As many of you know, years ago, I clicked on a link in an email. It was a phishing scam, and I lost my channel. And it took weeks to get it back. But you can be fully protected from phishing by NordVPN. In fact, loads of people are asking where can they watch my Sons of Ecstasy documentary. It's not available in the UK. Let's see, United States. There we go. Connecting to the United States. So Nord is the fastest VPN on the planet. So the scammers have got good at creating fake shops online. They take your money, psh, they are gone. But with Nord's Threat Protection Pro, you are protected. Threat Protection Pro is blocking hundreds of millions of scam hits per year. Sometimes pop-up ads containing malware are a nightmare. You're trying to close them, then boop, you go right through. Threat Protection Pro removes these dangerous files from your device. You hear about all of these huge companies getting hacked. Well, if your data is on the dark web, NordVPN's Dark Web Monitor alerts you. You can get an exclusive NordVPN deal plus 4 months extra. Link in description box on YouTube. It's risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. Link on the screen, nordvpn.com/Attwood, A-T-T-Wood. Link in description box if you're watching on YouTube. Thanks for supporting our sponsor. Back to the podcast.
You said they were harassing Sandy. Can you remember what they said?
Yeah, groping her, feeling her arse and that. Yeah, groping Mrs. Arse, grabbing her, playing with her ear. Pissed up lads, you know what pissed up lads do. But at the time, that's my wife. Don't touch my wife.
And you were stood right next to her.
Yeah, I stood with her. I was in the queue and she was at the side of me. And that's where, hey, you know how they all that cheering. And I'm not having that. So I says, who's the hardest free? Get outside free. You come outside. So I've gone outside, and 3 of them have come out, and I just went into them. And worst thing I ever done.
So when you said, you know, come outside free, yeah, they were all gung ho. They wanted to take you.
Yeah, they wanted to hammer me. Mate. So I think the 3 hardest would have come out. I smacked one, smacked another. You know, while they're rushing at me, and this as one's rushing at me, swinging, I've uppercutted him. His back gone backwards, smashed his head off the curb from the middle of the road. His head's hit the curb, and that was him done. Terrible.
What was Sandy's reaction?
Sandy was screaming, "Stop it! Stop it!" And like, you know, she always does, but not so much these days. Well, I've not been involved in violence for a long time, but normally now she'll just off and leave me with it. For the last few lots of violence we've had, because she's been there a few times when it's kicked off in pubs and that, and she just clears off.
So,
because you know,
so because of her getting groped, then how did it all play out with the cops and the judge?
No, well, because of that, and because to have a murder, you've got to have the intent to kill. You've got to set out with the intent to kill. And obviously, I didn't intend to kill him. I just wanted to break his chin. So as I've hit him on the chin, he's gone, and he's died. You know, God bless him. But you know, I can't change it, Sean. Otherwise, I'd have changed it a long time ago, mate. I didn't want him to die. Just wanted him not to touch my missus. So this all come out in court. I ended up getting 3.5 years.
So what was your actual conviction?
Manslaughter.
And before it was manslaughter, did they try and give you a higher charge?
Yeah, I was on a murder charge.
Okay.
I was on a murder charge for it.
Okay. So I
was on remand for around, in them days, you was on remand for 6 to 7 months. Then you go up for your initial P&Ds, that's your pleas and directions. Right, you go up for those, and then they just offered me the deal. If you plead to this, we'll drop this. I said, come on, then let's have that. And I said to Barry, what we're going to get. I mean, bearing in mind, Sean, in the 80s, a 3.5 year sentence was like a 15-year sentence. Now it was unheard of. It was a big sentence, and I got starred up. I didn't get to no YP jail. I went straight to Stafford after, because what I'd done when I was in the tailor's workshop, there was a kid there called, he calls himself Mr. T. I was a young kid in for murder, and it was a big black kid. He had that stupid hairdo and everything, like Mr. T. Big called Jeffco, right, from St Anne's in Nottingham. He used to call me Claw, Bomber Claw, and all sorts of names. So I'm there with one of my other forest pals, my mate Shorey, and we used to be snipping cotton off collars on shirts and that, the blue and white shirts. So I says to Shorey, once I'm up tomorrow, mate, if I can fix this murder trial and he starts on me again, I'm going to put these scissors in his neck and face. Right? So, no, don't, Dave, don't, Dave. So anyway, I've come back. He's come waltzing over with his big self in it large again. So I just jumped up and I think I stabbed him about 57 times in the neck, face, and eyes. Stabbed the out of him. And then I went to Stafford the next day because, of course, there's no cameras in them days, Sean. You just get away with it. So I've swapped my scissors with somebody and carried on and just cracked on like that. But they knew it was me, but they couldn't prove it. And obviously, he never grasped. But I left him looking like a tea bag. All his face, neck, eyeballs, stabbed everywhere on him. Went mad at him. But he's been picking on me for about 5 months.
All right, let me just go over some of this a bit more slowly then. So, for the punch then at the club, did it go to trial? There was witnesses.
No, not club. Kentucky, Sean. Kentucky.
Kentucky.
Yeah, Kentucky.
KFC. What? Oh, KFC. Sorry. Yeah. So what was there a trial then?
Yeah, no, it was a P&D's, pleas and directions. And as you go up, I was going not guilty on the murder. So they come down and said, would you take a manslaughter? And my QC at the time said, yeah, take it.
Did
so
you get
the manslaughter?
Did you get to see the witness statements?
Yeah, I had everything, yeah.
Have you still got them?
No, they've been gone a long time. And they only keep them 2 years as well, the 80s. I'd love to have them now.
Did everyone stick to the story or were they twisting it?
No, they just told the truth, what happened. Was groping his missus, having a laugh and all that. And no one told any lies. And some of them even said, look, he didn't want to hurt him like that. It's just the way he felt. And, we miss him sorely and it could be him. We wish we'd never done it. But if someone done that to my wife, we'd have done this. And, there was quite reasonable, the kids was. And there was no need for a trial. I didn't want it to happen, John.
What about the lad's family? Did they say anything?
No. I never seen them. Never seen him because we didn't go to trial. And, I won't like to see him, Sean, to be honest. How do you explain that?
I know, yeah. What year was that again?
That was in 1984, I think it was. 83, 84.
So Mr. T, was that 84?
That was 84, yeah. And then I went to Stafford the next day.
All right, so going over Mr. T again, when did you first see Mr. T?
Mr. T, I done Borstal with his brother, Daryl Jeffco, and he turned into a rapist and got 15 years for a few rapes, right? So I had a dislike to him because he was a rapist brother, but I was only a little skinny thing with curly hair, right? I was about 12 stone with curly hair, so I'm naturally curly. Now, so I've sat there, and he used to come have a blood clotting. It was a big fucking bodybuilder and all that, but it was a bully. Right, but obviously it was a bully picking on young kids. I was a young 19-year-old. He'd have been in his 20s, proper prisoner, and I was a YP, young prisoner. I shouldn't have even been there, but unless it was for my charge, I wouldn't have been there. I'd have been in Glenparva. Right, so it'd been going on for 4 or 5 months. Every day he was on me. Every day, the old blood clot, white, and pushing me. And I used to say to Shore, I'm going to knife that back. No, Dave. But because I was on that murder trial, I didn't want another one while I'm on it because it would have up, right? And I didn't want no more Section 18s or anything. So I just watched it. I said, as soon as this was done, mate, if I bust this case and get the manslaughter, what my legal team are after, I'm going to serve this up. And Joyce said, go on then. Anyway, the day after, I've gone to work. I've got the 3.5 I've sat there, snipping the shirts. It's come over, slapped me around the head. I said, look, mate, off. And I've got my scissors in me, and I know I was going to strike. Right, as he swung another slap at me, I've just jumped up, stabbed him under the chin, in the neck a few times. Then I just went mad, jumped on him, stabbed all his face, his shoulders, neck, everywhere. Just put only little snipping scissors, but enough to scar him.
What's interesting about you, Dave, is like the violence. It all revolves around your sense of injustice. It's not like you're initiating it.
No, never.
There's always someone else initiating it. When you get back on one of these people, and like let's say Mr. T, then when you were stabbing him, What kind of a feeling did that give you?
Euphoria, Sean. I felt great. All my frustrations went with the blade when it were going into him. I thought, I'll kill you, you. And I'm just on him, stabbing him. And then they've all come running over. All the lads have pulled me off. The alarms have gone off. So I've had to swap scissors, move away. He was on the floor. He got back up. Don't get me wrong. He was up. They want enough to kill him, but there was enough to leave him full like a tea bag. His whole face full of holes, and his neck and his forehead stuck it all over him, and his dreadlocks everywhere. You know, because he had that stupid line down there with locks hanging down. And he looked a. But he must have thought it was Mr. T. B.A. Baracus, he thought he was.
Right, so you got this sense of satisfaction from that. Now, in the months leading up to it, though, when he was bullying you, how was that weighing on your head?
It was hard for me to carry, Sean, because every day I wanted to get him every day. But obviously, I won't be able to fight him. It's just my temper gave me the Mongol strength, and I just attacked him with the scissors in my fist, and just plunged him up. But I was just absolute raging, mate. I've been raging for months, but because of the murder trial, I couldn't afford to have any more violence because of the murder trial, because it justifies that I could be a killer, and because of the shooting before and all that, and the violence and what have you. But it justifies I could be a killer. So I'm about to leave it. And as soon as the murder went and I got the manslaughter for it, I was chuffed to bits. And I thought, you start on me now, mate. You start on me now. And I knew I was ready for him. I knew he'd come. Every day he'd come. Every day he'd come and bullied me. And it was an hard shift to carry, it was, Sean, but I had to carry it because I didn't want to get lifed off.
Prior to the attack, had you been fantasizing about things you could do to him?
Yeah, all the time. And my pal was saying, "Leave it, Dave, please, please."
What other attacks had you fantasized about other than the scissors?
I was just going to slash him up. I was going to put a razor in a toothbrush and walk past him and just cut his lips off. That was one of my things. I'll cut his big lips off and all that, and I'll slash his eyes out his head and all that. Because I don't mind doing all that, Sean, in the day. That was my sort of thing. But it just the anger in me just made me react that way because I knew he was coming and I was just ready. I was primed. I was like, if I was a gun, I'd be cocked, ready for him. And I knew he was coming. And once I got the clip round the back of the head and called white bat, and I said, mate, fuck off, will you? Pack it in. My pal says, look, fuck off. So what do you mean, Batty Man? And calling us Batty Man and everything. So I just jumped up, stabbed him under the chin, and then he's screaming like a girl, and I plunged him up, screaming like a little girl he was.
So, Dave, you mentioned the anger in you. When did you first realize you had this anger?
I've had it since I was young. Sean. They all know, all my family know. When I start blinking and everything, that's when I'm getting really angry. I can't keep my eyes shut. I start blinking, I start crying, and people think you're being weak, but really you're trying to contain your anger, and you're crying because you know you can't do it.
What age did it start?
About at 12 years old, 12, 13 years old. I used to get really angry, and my head used to itch. My head used to itch like coach was scratching my head, crying, and fist clenched, and just wanting to get some. That's how I've always been. And my mum says my dad was the same.
How long was your dad around for?
My dad died last year.
So your mum and dad were together?
Yeah, my mum and dad was married, and my mum's 76 now, so she had me when she was 20. My mum did. But when my mum must have been 25, he used to give me mum a clout and cheat on her and all that. Just, what blokes did in them days. But my mum's ended up off, setting base up somewhere else, and then fetching us about 9-10 months later. But for me, Sean, it was like a lifetime with not seeing my mum. And my mum always had a red coat on, so everyone I seen with a red coat, I remember as a child, I used to run up, saying, "Mum, mum, mum," and all that, and it wasn't my mum, because we lived on a little Cockmanay farm, it was called. It was like farmland and all that, little council estate in the farm. Yeah, so, that's how it was.
How old are you when they separated?
5.
5.
Yeah, 5. 5 off. Say I was 5, but coming up to 6, because when she fetched us, I was 7, and we went to St Anne's, then moved to Bestwood, then to Bestwood at 9.
And do you think that that separation caused some of the anger?
Um, it probably did, you know. It probably did, yeah. And plus, I used to see my dad, you know, fisting my mum, fisting, fighting all the time. And I think this, you just get the traits, don't you? I mean, I don't need women, but you just get the traits.
When was the first time you noticed your dad hitting your mum?
No, when I was about around 5, he was knocking somebody off. He ended up marrying the woman he were knocking off, and she's come round the house outside. My mum's gone outside and hammered her. I remember it vividly, like it was yesterday. So he's come in and battered my mum, and then she's come in with a teapot, smashing it round his head, and because my mum could have a go. You know, I was quite impressed with my mum at that young age, but then obviously my mum was brought us up on her own all her life, so you know I'd do anything for my mum, but she's always been a fiery. So my mum's always been my mum and dad, you see. So when we've had trouble, she'd attack people, she'd attack men, women. She always has done.
So you said they came in and battered your mum in the beginning of this altercation. Are you saying
Yeah,
that
my dad
your
did.
dad and his new missus came in?
No, not his missus. My mum hammered his missus in the street, and then my dad's come in and hammered her.
Did she just hammer her with her fists?
Yeah,
What's he-
fist. There's no. No, my mum put a teapot round his head and scolded him with tea and everything. But I remember it vividly. But it'd been happening for months, Sean. You know, I think he'd been knocking somebody off to justify himself and feel better. He used to knock my mum about. I don't like slagging him because he's not here no more to defend it. But this is what happened.
Yeah, we're just trying to get to the root of the anger. Is there anything else you can think of?
The root of the anger.
Yeah.
Yeah, then we've moved to Bestwood. She met this other fella after a few years, and he used to knock her about. So yeah, he used to knock her about. She met this Irish fella called Danny, and she was with him for about 3 years. And one day I've woke up, I've heard her screaming, gone running in. He's hammering my mum. So he's on the backyard saying, you know, she's locked the door so he couldn't get in, cleaning herself up. He's on the backyard saying, 10 minutes to eat, Dave, 10 minutes to eat, Dave. So I said, I'll give you a eat. And I went outside and attacked him. I was only young, about 14. I couldn't do much. So I was only about 14. But then several years later, we're walking on the rock and reggae, and I've seen him sat with a load of Irish people. I'm about, what would I be? I'd be about 18 then. As I'm walking through, I've noticed him, and I says to our kid, there's that Irish back. So what should I do to him? I went up and I volleyed him straight under his chin. Right, took all his bottom jaw off and trod all over his head. I said, that's from my mum, you little. And they said, no, I'm sorry. No, I trod all over his head. His mates were screaming. I said, stay there, you. No, because in them days I was tooled up and everything. I was ready for war with anybody in them days at 18. In game as they come. Yeah.
Did any adults beat you up when you was a kid?
No way. No. They'd be gone now, Sean, if they'd have done that. No, I never got beat up by adults. You know, you have kid fights and that, don't you? But no adults beat me up, mate. No, none of them ever touched us.
And moving around these schools when you were little, did any of the older kids beat you up?
They try and bully you, especially the blacks. The blacks used to try and bully you, you know, because we never had nothing, Sean. And they used to walk past you and say, crufty white boy, because we never had nothing. It was clean, but never had the best of clothing and all that. You know, we were spotlessly clean, but we used to have second-hand clothes and things like that. We used to get called crufty, meaning scruffy. And all that off people who have got two parents and that. We only ever had my mum. So this is why I always wanted better. Although my mum done a brilliant job, you know, I'm not slagging my mum because she was brilliant.
All right, so I've got a good understanding now of where the anger comes from. Why would you say that the violence associated with the anger goes to extremes?
I think because of what I've seen and everything, I want to deliver more. I want to hurt people more than they hurt my mum, just to show how you do it. You know, hitting women, I can't stand them to it women. But you know, that's how I've always been, Sean. And until I can pacify my thoughts through anger, right? Once I get to that stage where I think that's it, I'm calm now. Then I'll stop. Other than that, I won't stop till I'm calm. Otherwise, I'll attack somebody else and somebody else. You know, that's how I have to do it.
And was that also part of you being the oldest, protecting the family?
Yeah, but Colin, let me put lights on, because I know you can't see me. But Colin's always been harder than me. You know, Colin's always been harder than me. Colin can fight a lot more than me. But Colin used to protect me some days. But then we used to protect each other. If he had a problem, we'd both go and get him. If I had a problem, we'd both go and get him. That's how it was. Never one-on-ones. We both smash them to bits, both of us. You don't fight one of us, you fight us both.
Let's just go back again. So what year were you born?
1965.
What year was Colin
November
born?
6. I was born November 65. Colin was born March 67, so 15 months later.
What's your earliest memory of him?
With Colin, as babies, we was the double of each other. Just as babies. I remember Colin from, obviously not since we were born, but I can remember him when we lived in Cockney as kids, because it was me and Colin all the time. That was just us two against the world. That's how it's always been.
What want the start of it?
The start?
Yeah, the first things you remember you and Colin doing.
No. School. I remember school. I mean, I'll be lying to say of 3 years old and that, but I can remember my first day at school, and then Colin coming to the school when I was 5 years old, and Colin coming up the year after. I can remember that.
And
Yeah,
what can you remember from your first day of school?
I can remember just being at the school at Company. I was in a teacher's class called Miss Summerfield, right? And she was great. I just remember it all. And there was a girl there called Vivian Lacey, right? That was her name. And she lived on our street and that, and she was my childhood sweetheart as kids at 5 and 6 years old. And I went to a funeral about 5 years ago, and I'm talking to my cousin Darren. I said, "That's Vivian there." He says, "Yeah, Dave, it's my wife." I said, "You're joking." Unbelievably, she married my bird. I said, "Oh." Anyway, she come over. He said, "Oh, Dave, I've not seen you since you were 7 years old." I said, "Oh, Viv, how are you?" Obviously you can remember it all. Yeah. But when me and Colin, I can remember finding 50p and Colin saying, "I want off that. I want off that." This one was 5 years old. And I can remember my dad hitting my mum and Colin hitting him behind the head with a poker. Smacking him around the head with a poker.
Slow down. Where did you find the 50p?
Outside the front door on the road. Like Coronation Street is all cobblestones and that. That's how the streets was before the old bangers on and everything. And I can remember finding it and saying, I'm rich. We'd never had 50p before. And Colin said, "I want off that." I used to go to the shop, and I had this fascination with Beecham's powders. I used to buy a single Beecham powder and eat it. That was why. That's what I used to do. Mad, crazy.
What were you and Colin's early interests and activities on the streets then at that age?
At that age, we just used to play on the bikes on the street. I mean, as kids, that's all you had to do, and there was nothing to do there. Black and white TVs. I can remember we both used to share the same bath. We used to only bath on a Sunday in Ilkeston because of the water. You had no hot water or nothing. You had to boil it on the fire. We had a big tin bath in front of the fire. Right, we used to sit in that because me and Colin were the oldest. Me and Colin would go in together, and then Julie and Andy would go in it afterwards. And then my dad and my mum would carry it outside and empty it. I can remember the tin bath. They used to be on the back garden on a nail. And when you wanted to go to the toilet, Sean, you had a potty upstairs. Right, no toilets in the houses. And if you wanted to go for a number two, you had to go outside with a candle. On the back garden, there was an outhouse with a toilet in, and the toilet paper was newspaper on a nail on the wall. That's what it was. You had to scrub it up and wipe your arse with it. It was fucking easy. But that's how it was in them days. Chatty bastards we was.
Did you watch TV?
Yeah, black and white TV. I can remember Coronation Street. Remember all that. Z cars. Remember that. Remember all them sort of things. Yeah, it was all right. It was okay. But in them days then, because my grandma always lived next door to us, but she died when she was 52, my grandma did. It was only I'd not been up Bestwood long, but my grandma was my hero, my mama and granddad, because they proper looked after us. With my dad's sister, Margie.
What about Tiswas, Swap Shop?
Tiswas, Lenny Henry, Trevor East, the Phantom Flamflinger, and all that. Tiswas, yeah.
Spit the Dog.
Spit the Dog and Bob Onus. Yeah, I can remember them.
So did you and Colin and your other siblings sit around and watch those on a Saturday morning?
Yeah, we used to sit and watch it Saturday mornings. Used to watch it. Then World of Sport was on.
Did you prefer Tiswas or Swap Shop?
I preferred Tiswas. was.
Yeah, me too.
Noel Edmonds had SWAT shop, didn't he?
Yeah,
I remember that. Yeah, I preferred
Yeah.
Tiswas. Tiswas was funny
And then were you
in
into
them
like
days.
were you into
Yeah, it was great.
comic books or anything like that?
Yeah, I used to love the Beano and the Dandy and Wizard.
Same,
Was it
same.
Wizard and Chips or something? Yeah, used to love
Yeah,
them.
Dennis the Menace.
Dennis the Menace and Nasher.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and the cartoons was what cartoons was there? With the Pepe Le Pew, the skunk, and all that. Pepe Le Pew, his name was, and Bugs Bunny and all that. Yeah,
Dastardly and Motley.
and Dick Dastardly and Muttley. That was brilliant. And the Antil Mob,
Ansel, Mr. Magoo.
Mr. Magoo, yeah, the blind fella. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So would you
All the
watch?
cartoon.
Would you watch those when you came home from school? Did you have a set TV schedule?
On Kong Fooey. On Kong Fooey when you come home. And then as you can you remember it?
Yeah, totally.
And then as you get older, Monkey was on then. Wait,
Monkey.
remember Monkey?
Yeah,
Monkey,
yeah.
hey Monkey. Great.
And as you got
Great
older,
days.
any other soaps? Did you watch like what was it called? Those Australian ones, Friends,
Home and
Neighbours.
Away and that. We
Yeah,
used to
Home and
watch
Away.
Home and Away. Yeah, because as I'm getting older now, as me and Sandy are married and had kids and that, the kids loved them all. So we used to put that on for them. We used to put Home and Away, Neighbours and everything. They loved them all. When Bobby was in it and Alf and all them in Home and Away. And
All right.
Lance.
So going back to Colin, when you were very small, so were you
Yeah.
were you like looking out for him early on because he was a couple of years younger than you?
Yeah, always, Sean. You know, he's my little brother, and me and Colin have always been like that. You know, apart when you get older and you go your own way, don't you? But if he's got a problem, it's my problem. Sometimes if he's hurt, you feel it yourself. You feel the hurt, like your identical twins. I know when something's wrong. I have an intuition saying what's wrong, and all that. I used to, no, Dave, this has happened, you know, and all that. So you know, I remember. You know, he got jumped by about 7 doormen. There's a pub up here called the White Hart. It's closed down now. But Colin got jumped. I think I was doing a 3-year sentence in the early 90s. And about 2 days before I got out, they broke his jaw. They trod all over him. But he was only young. But he's ended up in the hospital. So I rang home saying, what's going off? Colin's in hospital, Dave, and come and see him when you get out. You're out in 2 days, but keep out of it. I said, I'll keep out of all. Right, so I've come home after the 3-year sentence, and on the Sunday, it's the rock and reggae again at the Forest. This is where I find the victims all the time, Sean, right? There's a big black kid there called Chris Conn. He's walking around, massive he was, and he was one of the doormen that jumped our coal. So one of my black mates with me says to me, there's Aunt Dave who jumped your coal. I said, which one? He said, the one with a grey T-shirt on with a red star on. I said, yeah, watch this then. So I'm walking up. He lifted his head up and looked at me. I whacked him straight under the chin and took him out of his trainers. He's left his shoes and gone about 3 foot back and fast asleep. So I've woke him up, gave him a few slaps around the face. He said, what's going off? Who's done that? Who's done that? And I says to him, listen here, I've just done it. I said, what are you going to do about that? You jumped my brother with all your... I'm going to get every one of you. He said, no, I don't know bother. I don't know what bother. He was in with all his doorman mates and everything, but I was with about 50 of the lads. So and all got them and everything. So then obviously they couldn't do it. But I just took him straight out of his shoes. And then in 98, I got 4 year, 9 months. And I've gone to Stockton and he's there waltzing round, right unit. So he's seen me come walking over. He says, hi, Dave, you all right? I said, yeah, I'm all right, kid. Are you? He said, yeah, fine. He said, can I shake your hand, mate? That's the best punch I've ever took in my life. I says, but you didn't take it, mate. You went straight to Kip. I said, she was fast on, mate. He said, no, that's the best punch I've ever had in my life. You took me out with trainers. He said, thanks. I said, no, thanks, mate. I said, do you want some beef over it? He says, no. Can we leave you at that and just shake hands? I said, yeah, fine, mate. He says, because I deserve that. I said, well done, mate. You're manned up. Good lad. So that was the end of him.
That's a good story. Can you remember the first ever scrape as kids with Colin? Both of you got in?
Yeah. When I'd have been 8 years old, we lived at Bestwood Flats. right? And we went to Bestwood School. I was in a Polish teacher's class called Mr. Koskielewski, his name was. Right, so we've come out after, and there's two kids. We've crossed the zebra crossing, and they didn't realise Colin were there waiting for me. As I've crossed the road, there's two kids poking me, and I said, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" So our Cole says, "Move, do it like this," and smack the kid straight on the nose, straight on the nose, splattered all his nose. I said, "Yeah." So me and Colin then started fighting them both. Then the mums and dads have come round my mums. I mean, my mum's all for the lads. Her boys can't call. Coming round here picking on my boys. Your boys shouldn't start. These are my boys. They've been brought up to hit back and all that. That's how my mum is. Mum's always brought us up to clout people.
So if you're enjoying this podcast, you will love Dave Gunn's book, Bestwood Boss, Live by the Gun. It's got hundreds of reviews on Amazon. It only went up this year, 4.3 stars. And I'll read you the back of the book. The jaw-dropping inside story from the boss of the only organised crime group in the UK to be classified as a cartel. In the early 2000s, Dave Gunn and his brother Colin built the Bestwood cartel, a multi-million-pound empire based on drugs, extortion and violent crime. During a time when Nottingham was labelled Britain's gun crime capital. The second season of Sherwood, if you watch that on the BBC, crime drama series, was inspired by the activities of the Gunn Brothers and the deadly crime wave in Nottingham, which earned the city the nickname Shottingham. According to the media, the Gunn Brothers ruled some of the city suburbs with an iron fist, drove around in flash cars, and were dripping in expensive jewellery. They saw themselves as protectors of their manor, a modern-day mix of Robin Hood and the Kray twins. As the violence escalated, including brutal punishment shootings between rival gun gangs, the police launched Project Starburst to dismantle the Bestwood cartel and its rivals. So much was written in the media about the Gunn Brothers and in books such as Hood's, but no gang leader has ever detailed a real-life warfare in Nottingham in the early 2000s. In Bestwood Boss, Dave Gunn sets the record straight with the first ever insider's account of what led to the blood-soaked ganglands. I'll put the links in the description box. And I really enjoyed Dave's audiobook. So check that one out. Especially if you're busy, if you're on the road or you're doing stuff, just get the audiobook on. Thank you for watching. Cheers.
That's how it's always been. So if you don't clout people, Sean, it's all right doing what you want to do in life. But if you want to be took for a, you're going to be on all your life. So you have to retaliate. This is how I've been brought up. You've got to have some form of retaliation.
So
if someone hits you.
So Colin was 5 at that point. If you were 8, is that right?
Yeah, no. Colin had been about 7, and I'd have been 8 because there's only 15 months between us. You see,
15 months.
So Colin would be in the first years in juniors, and I'd be in the second years in juniors, something like that, around that sort of thing. But it always been game as game as.
So you said like.
Go on. Now, I used to do crazy things, right? At Bestwood Flats, we lived on the 3rd floor, and you had walkways. It must have been 75 foot up. I used to climb over and hang there on my elbows with my whole body hanging off with a 75-foot drop, laughing my head off, like I was invincible. I thought I was Spider-Man. That's what I thought I was. Thought I could jump anything. Nothing can hurt me. That's insane.
So earlier on, you said that Colin, he developed this fighting ability that was superior to most people.
Yeah.
When were the first signs of that? When did they show? Was that story you just told me where he?
Yeah, but when he was young, just come and squash the kid's nose, blood everywhere. So we both flew into them both because that's how it was. Yeah, he taught to fight. My dad taught us to fight. My mum taught us to fight. If anyone hits you, you both get them. Not one of you, both of you get them. And that's how it's always been. We've always been like that.
And physically then, were the two of you physically the same, or did he get bigger?
No, well, we're the same. Just little skinny kids, little bony, but very strong, and very hard hands. We've always had the hard knuckles and that, But then Colin started doing the gym and all that. As we're getting older, Colin loved it, obviously, because Colin was a good striker at football. I was a good centre half, played all over at football. Proper good footballers. But you get stronger. Then he started weight training and taking steroids and that, and then he went massive. And this is where he got the name Knuckles from.
How old was he when he went massive?
He'd be about 23, 24. He started training hard. Sean. But I mean, he always used to say, because he always had a good top off, but I've only ever done football all my life and a bit of leg exercises. I was pressing 470 kilo on legs, but could only get 7. Right, but my legs were massive, Sean. He used to say to Sandy, I'd love our Dave's legs. His top off, but his legs are massive. But it's your legs that keep you up. If you get one on your chin, that's why you need your legs. That's why I've only ever trained legs.
What inspired you guys to start doing weights? Was this the era of Schwarzenegger, Stallone, that kind of thing?
Pumping iron. So Colin wanted to pump iron. I didn't want to pump it. Gym for me was Jim's calf down the road.
Watching Schwarzenegger, Stallone, what kind of a feeling did that give you as a young lad for the first time?
You'd have liked to have been like that, but I didn't have the ethos to start going to gyms, and I used to feel a bit embarrassed going in gyms, seeing big people and all that. I think I'm not doing that. But Colin loved it. He was on the juice, the growth, everything. And he started taking it fully on board with his own circle of friends. He was always at the gym. Then they got their own gym and all that, what they went to. No, they absolutely loved it. They love weight training. I did it in Lincoln when I was on remand for that murder. And I went for dinner the next day. I couldn't even pick the tray up. My arms were stuck like that, stuck up here like that. Couldn't even stretch them. I thought, doing that.
Were you a fan of the Rambo movies, anything like that?
Loved them. Favourite films.
That first one's brilliant. I watch it to this day, that first one.
Yeah, I watched it the other night. It was on again. Sandy went for, say, we're lying in bed. Look, I've got that 75 there on the wall. So it's like a cinema in here. And I had Rambo on the other night.
Oh, when he escapes from the police station.
Yeah, brilliant. With that Brian Dennehy. Yeah, brilliant. I love him. I love him in Rambo. It's my favourite film.
Yeah. All right, going back to the early scrapes then. You've talked about, Colin punching the guy. And what was there any more memorable scrapes or altercations from those years or a bit later on?
Loads of them all through school, Sean. You're playing football on the playground. You're a lot of playing another say 20 against 20 and all that on the playground. You say if someone slide tackled me and I went over, Colin would come running over and fill them in. And if someone all that sort of thing. As kids, you couldn't hurt any of us because it's 2-on-1. We'll both get you. That's how it's always been. That's how we've always had it. My mum taught us that. It's not 1-on-1. It's 2-on-1 or 2-on-2. It's you two against everybody. And that's how I've always been taught.
But periodically did kids, try and prove themselves by attacking going for the both?
They like to, didn't they? But they used to come unstuck. Sean. But then bearing in mind, then in them days, you're growing up and you've probably got 20 and 30 of you hanging around together as teenagers. And that's when we was called the Bestwood Hustlers. We called ourselves the Bestwood Hustlers. And we used to walk round. And we used to have the big stereos playing all the reggae music, UB40 specials and all that. And there used to be loads of us. And we used to go to Sherwood fighting them, Arnold fighting them. And we used to fight everyone we're seeing. We used to have gangs coming to fight us. Great days.
All right. How were the Bestwood Hustlers formed?
Because, can you remember the film The Warriors?
Mm.
Well, The Warriors was out, right? I think that came out about 83. Wanderers and Warriors, yeah, the Ducky Boys and all that, right? But when the Warriors come out, there was a kid on there called Wimp, and one of my pals called himself Wimp after this kid. So it's, the Warriors. What shall we call ourselves? Let's call ourselves the Bestwood Hustlers. And we used to write everywhere. We had spray paint. We used to write Bestwood Hustlers, kick to kill. that was our thing. Bestwood Hustlers, kick to kill. And we used to kick out everybody. That's how it was in the early days.
And did you have that saying, come out to play?
No, we never did that. We didn't do that one. But, Warriors. But it was a good little team. And then we used to, one of my pals, Harry, we used to call him Harry, right? He lived with this woman called Pat, but he'd be about 17 then. We'd be a bit younger. And he was on the dole and that. So every time he got his dole money, We used to go to this shop in Sherwood, in around the corner from me. It was a beer shop, but we all used to go in there. We used to fill his pockets with all the vodka and that, nick it all, and buy a load of cans and come back and have a big session at his house. Invite everyone from school and that. It was crazy. It was great. Let's get straight on it. It was great.
Would you say that this group of lads formed the foundation for the cartel later on? Was it some of the same
Yeah,
people?
because a lot of us still hang around together now. Still drink together now, but obviously people who, we're getting old now, so a lot of people have gone their own way now. They've got families, got their own businesses and everything. But me and Colin just stayed as we was, although we had different friends. But everyone in each outfit was all friends with each other. Me and Chopper at school, we both went to Emery Whipple about the same time, and he come from a place called Broxtowe. And obviously, I come from Bestwood, but via Ilkeston and that. And as we've got to school, Chopper was always an hard fighter. So me and Chopper have had a fight at school and turned into best mates. I'm still proper best mates now. Done jail with him and everything. In the same cell with a lot since we were kids.
All right, give us some more detail about the fight.
Well, he used to fight like this. Tongue used to be stuck out and he used to come in windmill, fist and feet, windmilling. And that's how he's always been. He used to swing into you. You didn't know whether a foot or a fist were going to hit you. He used to come swinging in like a windmill. But he used to destroy every foot. Right, tasty it was. Not so much now, obviously, because he's getting on now. But in the young days, Chopper was game as out. And he's always been a skinhead. Always had a bald head. And he's always wore the crombies and the ska music and all that. But he's always fought like that. But we had a fight. And then we had several scraps as young'uns. And then in Glen Parva, he always used to hammer me, he did, when we fought. He used to beat me all the time. And in Glen Parva, we had an argument, and I knocked him out in Glen Parva. And then, it changed the tide a little bit. But we're still good pals, still proper close pals. Got proper good stuff.
So, all right, so you bonded through fighting, you would say?
Yeah, through fighting each other. Then we're best mates, and we played football together, everything. Hung around together. He was one of the hustlers. We hung around together every night for years and years as kids. We used to rob together. We used to nick everything together. We used to nick 250 Super Dreams and change the number plates on them for a legal one and go all over thieving.
Would you say that the hustlers had a leader?
Yeah, it was Harry in the day, Mark Harrison. He was a leader of the hustlers, the oldest.
Mark Harrison.
Yeah.
Why was he the leader?
Because he was the oldest, and he had the music, and he staged the parties, and it was all at his house he were living at. Yeah, that's how it was. But the hustlers were brilliant. Was the hustlers for years. Bestwood hustlers kick to kill.
So what was Mark Harrison's backstory?
Well, he was into crime, and it was my friend Darren Harrison, mine and Colin's good friend. This was his older brother. So we were hanging around with Darren, and then Harry's come on the scene with his big, we called it box in the day, with his big box, what play the music and that. And that was it. He used to come down the chippy where we used to hang around. Then everyone used to come down there. We used to wait till pubs emptied. When they all come down drunk and that, we used to fucking hammer them and rob the pockets. That's what we used to do.
What year was this, and what kind of music were you playing?
Ska, specials, the B, UB40, all that sort of stuff.
Were you dressing all ska?
Yeah, Crombies, Harringtons with all the two-tone badges on. The skin-tight jeans, 21 old Dockers with red and yellow laces in. It was all that day. We'd go in Victoria Centre in Nottingham, and in them days, the clock used to be at the other end, and all the rastas hung around upstairs, all the blacks drinking special brew and that. And every now and again, you get an empty can hit you on the top of the head. They throw the cans down on you, because you was all skinheads downstairs. They used to throw cans at you.
So if Mark was the leader, then was there like an underboss or a lieutenant or anything?
Just us Bestwood lot. Just was all the same. There's no underbosses, right? But you was all game. If they were fighting, though, me and Colin would be at the front with Harry, because Harry could have a fight. We'd all be at the front. We had to wait for him to come out of High Pavement was a sixth form college at the top of my hill where I live now. And when they used to come out there, say they had discos in there and everything, we used to come out and just kick out of them. and attack them because they were up there. They were posh and they was from all over. Because they were posh, we wanted to show them what Bestwood's all about. It was crazy. I mean, you'd never do it again, but it was crazy in the day. So every night, some would glue sniffing, some would pick up. Yeah, but that's how it was.
How long did the Hustlers last?
A good, say 2.5, 3 years.
What was
Yeah,
the
and then obviously
what was
people
the
start going to prison.
What was the most notable things that happened during that 2 to 3 years?
The parties, Sean.
What years are we talking now?
The Hustlers would have been, got to have been 80, 81, 2 and 3. Got to have been. But when everyone's starting to go to prison, you know, people go their own ways. They get jobs because they've left school and they drift apart. But you only ever get an handful who's any good, who stay about.
Who was the first one of the Hustlers who went to prison?
Harry.
For what?
He went to prison. I think what he used to do, because he used to get all the money, and they built a new Tesco at Top Valley near us, and every other weekend he used to go and throw a massive boulder through the window and go in with 2 black bin liners, fill it full of fags and sell them. That's what he used to do. And it weren't 24 hours a day then. It was shut at, say, 6 at night. But he used to smash it, no cameras or nothing, just rob the kiosk of all the fags and sell them and get £1,000. And then we were nice then because he had £1,000 and was all out eating kebabs and thinking we're millionaires. You know, people buying Evo stick and people buying vodkas.
Did you go to the curry houses?
And yeah, but we used to run off from them. We used to get a few beers in us, go to a curry house, and when they went to get the bill, leg it, and they used to come chasing you, calling you motherfuckers. Just leg it, we did.
So he was the first. He was the first to get arrested. Do you remember the circumstances of his arrest? Any details like that?
Yeah, he got arrested and remanded in about when would it have been? It'd been about 82. And we all got drunk one night and all wrote him drunken letters. And no doubt he'll still have the drunken letters.
Oh, yeah.
So also, we love you, Harry, and all that. As Edward was. I'll ask him if he's got them.
If you get your hands on those letters, that would be great.
Yeah, because we all wrote to him, steaming, absolute steaming was, having an ass party, all drinking vodka and everything. About 40 odd of us all wrote him letters. Yeah, I'll ask him. See if he can find them.
Who was the next one to get arrested?
Would have been me and Colin.
You and Colin?
We always got nicked. Colin got nicked before me because the teacher come. Because Colin was photographic memory, very clever. And he finished his exam in about 20 minutes and you get an hour. So he sat there talking to someone next to him and they come up and slapped him around the face. So he jumped up and knocked a clean out, the teacher. And he got a detention centre for it. He went to Campsfield House in Oxford, he did.
Wow.
Yeah, broke a nose.
Was that the first time you were separated from him?
Yeah.
How did that feel?
Horrible. Like you're losing your right arm, aren't you? You know, like it is now for me. You know, but you just got to try and progress, Sean, haven't you? A lot older now.
When you were progressing without him, how did that feel?
It was horrible, mate. It was horrible. You're lonely, because it was just me and him. We've always been like that. Always been close. Although he had his mates and I had my mates, and it got to the stage right where, so I'm out with all my mates in the pub, and you've got a bag of on the table, a bag of cocaine, and there's guns under the seats and all that. And he'll come in with a couple of his pals, and you're all laughing and joking off your heads, and he'll say, "Right, come on, we're going." And they say, "Come on, close, they fucking going. We are." You don't like laughter.
What?
You don't like laughter.
Doesn't like laughter.
No, he'll think you're talking about him.
When did that start?
It's always been like it. If anyone starts laughing, he'll knock them out. He's knocked loads of my mates out for laughing near him.
If they're laughing just at something else, he'll smack them because he thinks.
Yeah, smack them.
He thinks they're laughing at him.
Sean. Yeah, well, he'll make out they're laughing at him just because he wants to hit them because he don't like people laughing. Right, but what he used to do, he used to say to him, "Cole, you knocked such and such out last night. You know, why did you do that? He'll do this lot. Move. Really? Was it funny?" That's what he used to say. He's done it to everything. He's hammered about 20 of my pals. Some of them, is hit them that hard, they've had to draw around them thinking they've been run over by a car.
Oh.
Is hit them that hard? Yeah, they're drawn around them. Police and ambulances have been. There's one called Vinnie Miller. He's passed away now, bless him. Right, but he used to get hit quite regularly, at least once a month. And he'd go 12 foot in the air and land and unconscious, twitching on the floor. They'd draw around him, he'd jump up. He had like superhuman strength. He'd jump up and go, pom, pom, waving his hands about, pom, pom.
Where
Fucking crazy.
where did he get the superhuman strength from?
I don't know. I think it's just Mongol power, isn't it? He's absolute crazy. He said, pom, pom. Start doing that with his hands.
So I'm seeing some parallels here with me and my mate Wildman. He would just knock people out of his left all the time.
Yeah.
But I was a bit like, you know, there's a line, isn't there? And he's always crossing it.
I call you to cross it.
Did you feel like that? Was there any way? Could you rein him in?
No, sometimes I could. Leave it, mate. Leave it. Please leave it. This is my pals call. And I'm like, well, I'm going to f off then. Or you f them off. So I'd say, you're off now. You've got to go. So he's going to get a clump off Knuckles. And no one wants a clump off him, Sean. His favourite one was to knock you clean out under your legs and volley your bikes in. And then he done the landlord called Ralph. He done him at the Ivory Hotel, right? We're all queuing up outside the boozer because he's gone in, seen his ex-wife, the kids' mum, Jack and Chloe's mum, sat on Ralph's knee. Friends, that's all it is. But she sat on his knee, so he says to everyone, "No one go in." Phone Baz up, right? The kid. He said, "Baz, them steel toe cap boots I bought, them Caterpillar ones. Bring them down the Ivory Hotel, mate. No one's going in till you're here." So he put the Caterpillar boots on, went in, knocked him clean out, volleyed his in. He was the landlord of the pub, and for 6 weeks he had to sit with his on a stool.
Holy. So I think we're missing though a bit of like we've started out with Colin as a kid and jumped.
To adulthood.
Yeah. What's the notable stories in between?
What in childhood?
Because you started out telling, you know, when you were 8, we got some stories when you were 8. But we've jumped. So
we jumped. So when we was, let me go and get my charges, Sean. When we was 10, right? Say 10 and 11, we joined the Boy Scouts. Was in the Boy Scouts and did all that. Used to go on camps with the Scouts and everything. Done all that, and I used to go working. I used to go and Sam, where's my charger, Doc? Oh, I've got it. 1 minute, Sean.
No worries.
I used to be working for this old fella called Tom in Bestwood, and this is in my younger days, about 11, 12 and that, for 50p. 50p he used to give me, bless him. An old cripple, I used to shop for him and everything. I used to look after him. Nice fella he was. But I was always going shop for him. I used to walk from Bestwood to Bestwood, go to the shop for him, and proper look after him. Do all his shopping and that. But that was my thing, because, you know, just trying to earn a few quid. I used to get some good money out of it. And he used to buy me skateboards and that in the day. A lovely fella, but obviously he died in my young age, Johnny did. A nice fella he was. Used to do all that. But in the Boy Scouts, I used to love the Boy Scouts. Used to be great.
What did you love about it?
Just the camaraderie and that, you know, with all your pals and everything. And you're all in the Scouts. It was great. I loved it.
What about earning the badges?
Yeah, I got all the badges, all down my sleeves, all down the front. I'd always go on the camps. Then, because I was into cross-country running and everything, we ran at Hyde Park in Manchester, ran everywhere.
Would you say there was a degree of innocence to you at that period?
Yeah, very naive and innocent, but used to have vicious. I've always had vicious thoughts. That's been my letdown. All my life I've had them.
Are you talking about vicious thoughts against people who've created injustice against you, or vicious thoughts in general?
About Sean, you know, all my life, right, I can stand there talking to people, right, and when I start getting a bit bored, I start laughing my head off, thinking, wonder how I'd feel if I bit his lips off now. And I just had these mad things in my head. What would he say if I bit his nose off? And start laughing in my head. I don't laugh on my face, but inside my head, I'm laughing my head off.
When did they first start?
Absolute crackers.
When did that first start?
I've had them since about 15 years old.
15.
About 15 years old, I've been thinking since that. Yeah. I've always had them. I've always had them mad thoughts.
Was there anything around
I've told psychiatrists about it and everything, but, you know, I've told the psychiatrists.
Was there anything?
No, nothing. I don't know why I get them. I still get them now to this day.
Well, it's a combination, isn't it, of things? I think it's complex.
But no, nothing that's created them. Yeah. I think it's a mad complex, but this is why they say I'm schizophrenic and that.
I think the anger from being a kid and then hitting puberty and just everything going on in your life. I think it's just cumulative. That's you know, the anger, then the extreme violence, and the capability to do it as you lose your innocence. I think it's just cumulative because of the things
Yeah.
that you experience. It's not like there was any.
Yeah, it is. It just adds up, don't it?
There was no period of your life where nothing was going on,
It
where you
just
were
all
able to
adds up, Sean.
relax.
And then no, that's right. That's right. And then you just turn into what you are, don't you?
Yes.
You turn into what you are, man. But you get dealt the hand, you have to play the hand. That's the way I look at life now. I don't look at it any other angle now. You dealt the hand, so play it.
So did Colin?
That's how I do it. And I don't try and.
Did Colin marry young?
No, Colin's never been married.
Okay.
He's never got married. He's been with Victoria. She's like his wife. She's been with her for years, but he's not with her now. They're still friends and everything, but no point being with anyone when you're doing a 35 wreck.
So
he let her go. He just said, "Look, you can go. Just go. No point."
So you had your wife. Did Colin have girlfriends and stuff during those years?
Yeah, he had two. He had Tracy Moff, Jack and Chloe's mother. I mean, they're old now. They're 30s and 28s and that. And then he got rid of Tracy, played around for a bit. Then he met Victoria, loved Victoria, had kids with her. And then, obviously, when he got sentenced, obviously he's back because that's what he does. But when he got sentenced, he rang her up and said, "Listen, we've got a 35-year life sentence." He says, "Please don't wait for me. I want you to go and find happiness." Said, "Don't wait for me. I'll always be there for you if you need me. Always be a friend. But as a man, I don't want you to hang about wasting your life for me," which is a manly thing to do.
Do you remember him getting his first girlfriend in his teen years?
That's what he did.
Do you remember him getting his first girlfriend when he was a teenager?
Yeah. Her name was Michelle Chapman, and her sister was in my class at school, Lisa Chapman. Right, but Michelle Chapman, lovely, pretty little girl, and he had a name just here on the top of his arm. It said Mish, M-I-S-H. And when was all in Borstal, right? He said to this Vinny, "Try and scrape this name out my arm because I'm not with her no more." So Vinny's trying to scrape it and cut him. So he says, "Right, Vinny." This is the same Vinny who used to hit every month, right? He says, "Right, sit at the end of the metal bunk bed. You've just cut me. Get your pants off and let your swing down. I want to volley your in." So he sat there, let his swinging, and volleyed his up at the side of the bed round the metal bars. That's how mad Vinny was.
Holy shit.
Yeah, you ask him about it, Sean. Funny as never even screamed. And his were massive. Because he's cut his tattoo. He's meant to scrape it off, but he's cut it. He says, "Get your pants off, sit at the end of the bed with your hanging down. I want to boot your in, put his shoes on, and booted his in."
Oh, man. Holy shit.
Yeah, crackers, mate. Crackers. Very vindictive.
Like you said that you guys were like that, and then when he went away, you were sad. Sometimes when a guy gets his first girlfriend and he drops his other mates, did he drop you, or were you seeing him less? Was there any friction?
No. He together. I can remember there was about 14, and he used to shag her in my mum's. He used to be shagging her in my mum's. So, it was great. This is how it was. And I had Sandy, didn't I? He had his bird, but we had each other. We've always had each other. That's how it's always been.
What was your relationship with your other siblings in those early years?
Julie and Andy were my younger ones, so me and Colin always made sure they was all right. We looked after them, made sure they was all right. Our Julie never got no mither, nobody bothered her. My young brother Andy, he's always had his own little crew, his own little boys. Never been in trouble, kept him out of it. Well, it was getting quite serious as we're getting older. He said, "Let me in, mate. They've let me in. Let me do this, this, and this." Says, "You're doing for me." I says, "You can have anything you want, but you're not getting involved in this." I said to my mum, "I'll go mad. Mum will kill me." I said, "You're not getting involved in this, our kid. Not a chance." And that was that. We kept him out of it, and to this day, he's got his own tarmacking firm now, drop curbs and all that. His own business. He does well. Never been in trouble in his life, and doing well. We've got his own house. Got two lovely lads. Got grandkids and his missus. brilliant. Proud of him, I am.
All right, going back to the Hustlers then, you said Colin was the second member to get arrested. Who was the third?
Yeah. I mean, me and Colin was in Borstall's together. But you know, when I was in Borstal, Sean, I got this thing called community service where every weekend I went cat digging old people's gardens. So I'm on a bike with all my Borstal clothes on, and I'm biking down the road, down past what's it called? It's in Leicester anyway, in the back of Saffron Lane. There's an estate there. Can't remember what it's called. I'm biking down there, and there's an old woman in front of me with an hat on, with feathers on it. So as I'm cycling past her, I've had her hat off and put it on my head. I've got digging gardens with it. Next minute, it's 3 screws turned up. It was one of the governor's scissors, and they kicked at me. They did. they kicked my fucking head in. Yeah, I was wearing that digging the garden. That I was.
What was the first time the screws kicked the yeah?
That was the first time I got my kicked out of me off the screws on the old woman's garden. The old woman come out screaming, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And they said, "Look at his hat he's wearing. It's my wife's." Took it off her head on the way past.
How bad was the beating then?
It was a good beating. Black my eyes. They battered me. But I deserved it, mate. I just thought, well, I deserved that because I didn't get nicked for it. They just said, look, Gunny, you've had a good hiding. Just leave it at that. You're not doing community service again. You're going to have to stay in the jail. I said, I don't give a I said, am I being nicked? They says, no. I said, well, I not get you nicked then. And we left it at that.
So you and Colin were in there together?
Yeah. I was doing a Borstal and Colin was doing a youth custody. He got, what did he get? He got 3.5 years. There was a fight and they seriously hammered this kid called Danny Polak and Pete Porteous. They'd hammered a few kids and Colin got 3.5 years for it. But he ended up doing youth custody. And then they sent him to Swinford Hall in Lichfield. And I was in Glenparva. I was doing a Borstal. I think I did 8 months out of that one. You used to get 6 months to 2 years Borstal. So you did anywhere between 6 months and 2 years. But on how you conducted yourself, you got time knocked off. You know, so I ended up doing, I think, 8 or 9 months out of it and coming home. So I mean, there was good dates, though. The
beef that had got him in there then, do you know what it was over?
Yeah, it was a fight in town, and they turned out to be Edward's Lane lads, and they destroyed him. It was in a pub in town. They proper put him to bed, destroyed him. They did, but they're Section 18s, and he got a bad. I think one of them got slashed up by one of the lads with him. I can't remember who it was, Sean. It was in the early 80s, but they didn't half write him off. Pete Porteous, Danny Polak. There's about 4 or 5 of them, but you know they crashed them, and that's why. But now these days they're good pals. You know, young kids, you have to forgive, don't you? From young ages, rather than old it, you have to forgive them because you're young kids.
So,
but they end up making statements in that. But we've never done that.
So prison's a lonely place, and it's good to see someone in there. You know, how did it feel seeing your brother?
Well, it was great because I knew he was there, and he's been in, and he knew I was there. And then we've been in together as well, where you just take over the wing. You know, you just have a good crack on the wing. You know, the gunnies are here again, and in the early days, it's where you're fighting all the blacks from Leicester and the Meadows and all that, and battering them. You know, it was whites on black crime in them days. You know, because the blacks fought the road, the whites fought the road. Just children, aren't you? But the whites are on top, the blacks are on top. See, in the gym then, and then have it in the gym. That's what we used to do, and then fight in the gym. The gym screws would shut the doors and off and leave you here. No weapons, bro, just fists and white power. That's how it was in them days.
Were you ever cellmate with Colin?
Yeah, a few times for about a week, but then you go on each other's nerves and you have to move on. You have to move on because he's always right and I'm always right. That's how it's always been, Sean. Yeah, he's never been wrong, Cole. He'll never be wrong.
Let me just write down then the amount of times. So first young offenders was what year?
1983, I think. Oh, for me, it was 82, but I'm sure me and Colin was 83. I'm sure it was.
83 with Colin.
Yeah, and 84.
84. That's the same stretch or in and out?
Mine would be a different one, but Colin was doing the 3.5 year. I think it was at that time, but was always in, Sean, because my mum used to come and visit us both, and we used to have joint visits on one table. In them days, you could bring a bag of food up, sausage rolls, sandwiches, pop, can of beer. You could allowed 1 can of beer. That's how it was in them days. This is when Sandy was coming up visiting me. She'd come up the once.
Which institution was that?
This was Glenparva. This way we always went. Only went Glenparva, and then I got started up at 19 for the other one, and it, because I was in Lincoln Prison then.
Could you do, like, request to your mum what food to bring, your favourite?
Yeah, well, you just write. There are no phones in them days, Sean, and there's no mobiles. What to shove up your arse? Everyone used to shove them up the arse in the later years, but you just used to write a letter. Can you bring some chicken? Can you bring me some salad cobs and all that sort of stuff? And a can of pop, But you never had much, Sean. And but your mum used to work hard and get you what you needed.
And how did that feel when you got that food in the prison?
Great. It's been great because especially on if your visit was a Saturday, you used to watch Match of the Day and have a good feast on your own. Yeah, or say if you was in with one of your pals, they'd have a visit and have a good feast as well. So you've all got your sweets and your pop, and the screws used to bring you a can of beer around at night and pour it in your cup because you couldn't have the can, and then you just neck the can. Special brew we used to have. So you gave you a wobble, one can did.
How many of the hustlers ended up in prison?
All of us.
All of you.
Bastards.
All of you.
Yeah. We've all not all together, but we've all been to jail, every one of us. Apart from a couple, Daz Harrison and that, they went straight down the pit and left the hustlers working down the mines. A few of them was down the mines and got proper jobs, and they've been straight to this day, got their own businesses and that. But the majority of us, some of them went in the army, but the main contingent all got borstals and that.
What was the period of time when?
Yeah, we all got locked up.
Was there a period of time when a few of you, more than just you and Colin, were together in prison in the young offenders?
Yeah, me, Cold Chopper, Wim was always locked up. Burglaries, fighting, stabbings, everything. But in them days, Sean, you had these things called a 6-1 committal, right? Where you had a like a mini trial before you went to trial at the magistrates' courts. It was called a section 6-1 committal, right? And the magistrates had listened to the evidence. So if nobody come to give evidence against you, all the charges got dropped that day. So of course people had it stuck on them and used to walk that day. That's what it used to do. 6-1 committal. I'll get out on that. And we used to have that regular. We used to send people around, say sort that out. You used to sort it out, and out you come. All the charges dropped, but you can't do it now.
So you've mentioned alcohol was a factor with the gang. What about drugs?
No one touched drugs in them days. Glue, they used to have glue. I never sniffed glue, but vodkas and that, and cans of lagers. But Castlemaine 4X and that in the day it was. Foster's once about then. But no drugs, no dope, nothing. No one touched all that. I never smoked in my life, so no one bothered with all that. There's certainly no about her in them days.
Where did you party
Nothing like that. Harry's. We used to have it at Harry's house every weekend. All the birds back from school and all that. We used to have good parties. Cracking. Bit of gossip around school.
And when you guys were partying then, was he a loud person when he was partying? Louder?
No. Colin's an observant. He likes to watch what everyone's doing and sit with his own little crew. But you know me, I was up bouncing about and the music's on full blast, birds upstairs and all that. Fucking good days, man, in the youth. If only you could go back and change a few bits.
So what would you say then about your character you have in common with Colin, and what's opposite?
The opposite. Well, with me, Colin's very, very serious all the time. He don't really get time to laugh. He does laugh, but not very often. It has to be really amusing for him. And if you're laughing in the inn, he'll want to hit you because you don't get why you're laughing, and you're making him look. Is that he not saying that, but that's what it is. He'll never admit that, Sean, but that's what he does. But with me, if I go out, Sean, I like to laugh because that's what you're paying for. You go out to have memories and have a laugh, don't you? So I like to have a laugh. And as long as I laugh, I don't give a fuck who gets upset because I'm laughing. I'm not bothered. And even to this day, I'm like that. But well, you've got to have a laugh for something to remember about, haven't you?
So
it's always been like that with me. But he's never been like that. He can't stand it.
Why do you think that is?
As what?
Why do you think he's like that?
I don't know. It's always been very serious. Always been very serious. Until the next day when you're telling me who he's it, and he'll do that. Really? Me? Was it funny? Ah! Stop doing that. That's what he does. He always does it. That's his normal MO. Ask him.
What about things in common then? Characteristics in common with Colin that you've got?
We just had football, me and Colin. Football, I was it. Never really a lot in common, apart from if it was on, we'll fight together and all that. I've always been like that. But he's always been more sadistic, wants to go a bit too far sometimes. When I have to draw him in and say, "No, I'm not doing that, mate. Let's just do this. Let's just hammer him." But he'll want to say, "Let's do this," and all that. I say, "No, mate, no, not today." All that.
So have you got examples of stories of preventing him from doing too much damage?
Yeah, we've had a few of them where I've been pulling him off. Like when he's hit my sister, we've ended up brawling on the car park, and he's bucked my lip here and everything, and left me needing stitches, what I never had. You know, we've had loads of different set tos, and then he just said, "Okay, I love you," and give me a squeeze, and then give me a crack. Don't fucking interfere in my business and all that. You know, this is how he is. I've always been like that, and some of like Sharpie, he's mine and Cole's good pal, but he's more pals with Colin than me. You know, the proper close pals them two are, and he'll grip him because Sharpie used to be about 29 stone, a proper big unit, and he'll just grip him and say, "Come on, you're getting out of here." One day there was a kid come up called Kevin Anthony. We're all sat in the Green Barrel pub, right? So I can see Colin fuming, and he's sat there looking at this Kevin Anthony. And Kevin Anthony's looking at Colin's Mrs. Victoria chewing gum. So all of a sudden, his hand's gone in Victoria's mouth, pulled the chewing gum out and started chewing Victoria's chewing gum. I thought, "Oh, no. I said, "Cole, come on. He says, "You know what? Whoomp!" Straight under his chin, left his whole face in an ashtray full of nubs and that. He's got up with all nubs in his eyes, up his nose, and everything, knocked him clean out. So what the f***? I said, "What you done that for, Kevin?" "I ain't done it." I says, "You've been clumped. You used to just clump them out."
Any more stories?
But why
like
you
that?
want to do that in front of him? Is what?
Any more stories like that?
Oh, there's loads of it. So there's loads in the pubs where he's just clumped people. People have trod on his toe and gone fast asleep, and another one's gone at the side of him, and then it's a free fall. Then he just wants to hit anybody who's running in. Boom, boom. They're all going all over the place. And when he's going, we used to have all the young'uns. We used to call them the hyenas because there was in prominent 20 of them straight away, blades out and everything, just running in. I said, "F off, leave it, lads, leave it. You know what? We'll do them and all that." So that's why the hyenas, they just come in for the feast.
How were the hyenas formed? Was that part come up?
It was just our young lads.
After the hustlers?
Yeah, after the hustlers. When we started drinking at 27, 28 and all that, the young'uns started coming out at 19 and 20 when we were young. There was like us, but there was a gang of them. Then, "Can we come out with you?" Like, "Yeah, come on then." Then every time was out, they was out with us. So there was always tooled up. They used to carry everything and they was ready. And if it went off, they were straight in, finishing them. You didn't really have to do it. They were straight in, the hyenas. There was known as the Gunnies and the Bestwood crew, and they were the hyenas. The hyenas will get you.
Hope you enjoyed the podcast. There's another Attwood Family Shutters Factory video. Link in the description box on YouTube.
Bye, Daddy.
Bye. See you. Bye. If you want beautiful shutters that block out nosy neighbours, you can get a 10% discount using promo code Shaun, SHAUN. Link and number to call, Shutters Factory in the description box.